I am pleased to introduce fellow Rotarian and past president of our club, Susan Schmitz. And I'm even more excited because Susan has been a mentor of mine, and she was actually one of my sponsors for joining this club. So I am forever grateful to her. She is sassy and brilliant and an amazing lady. So that wasn't in the script. I needed to make sure to add that. So Susan has been executive director for Downtown Madison and Company since 1999. She works on a regular basis with the city, retailers, and many other groups who care about the health and vitality of our central city. Susan is going to describe for us the state of downtown and talk about its past, the current state, and its future. We look forward to her presentation, and Susan, we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund as a way of saying thanks for you speaking to us today. As we welcome her to the podium, I want to remind everyone that if you have questions, please wait, and someone in the audience will have a microphone at the end of the program. So let's please give a warm welcome to Susan Schmitz.
Oh, this is such an honor. So good afternoon to all of my fellow Rotarians, and as always, it is an honor and a pleasure to be before this distinguished group of people who care about service and who care about this community. I want to thank all of you for all of your service and all of your good work. It's also an honor to be able to share with you what I do every day, a job I absolutely love. And I would like to introduce the people I have the absolute pleasure of working with on a daily basis. They've already been introduced, but I would like to recognize them again. John Chernelia, Carol Ann Hewitt, Madeline Plummer, along with Tiffany Kinney and Tim Jenquin from Madison Central Business Improvement District. And then, of course, my beautiful daughter who's here, who was introduced before, Emily Wentz. So I'm going to applaud you guys. Thank you. I would also like to recognize many of us. I feel very fortunate about this in terms of my job and being a Rotarian, to recognize many of my current and former board of director people and some former chairs that are here. They're here because they're Rotarians. Some are guests. And could you all please stand? All of you, stand, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for caring so much about DMI and our work. So before I talk about the state of the downtown, I would like to give you some brief background on Downtown Madison, Inc., or DMI, because it's a lot easier to say. DMI started over 40 years ago during the time of urban sprawl. There were 4 men who were on the Chamber of Commerce board who were very worried about the central city and the possibility of its decay. They were Bob Schmitz, Bob O'Malley, Don Helfricht, and Don Hovde. And the first 3 of those that I mentioned were Rotarians. They formed a chamber committee called the Central Madison Committee. This committee eventually grew and spun off from the chamber and changed its name to Downtown Madison, Inc., and became its own membership organization. The group was smaller and had limited amount of members and resources, but did good work for many years. During the early years, they started and organized 2 major events that are still going strong: the Froster Ball, which is now organized by the Overture Center for the Arts, and Paddle and Portage, which is now organized by Isthmus. So, awesome. DMI began its what I would call growth spurt soon after Monona Terrace opened, and Jerry Frauchi had committed his first $50 million to build the Overture Center for the Arts. That is when the Renaissance began. DMI has continued to grow since that time, and we have really never looked back. We currently have approximately 500 members. We are a 501c6, not-for-profit membership organization. Our area of focus is the Yahara River to the stadium. We have a contract to administer the work of Madison Central Business Improvement District, an assessment district with the footprint of State Street, Capitol Square, and the first block of King Street. They use their assessed funds for street improvements, events and programming, holiday activities, including lights, and many more things that enhance the area. We have a 48-member board that meets monthly, a 10-member executive committee that meets monthly, 5 standing, very active committees that meet monthly, 3 annual, 2 monthly, and 3 quarterly programs, a staff of 4, including me, and then Tiffany and Tim, who work in our office, who are from the bid. And then our work focuses on mainly on advocating for a healthy and vital downtown Madison. And we produce an annual civic agenda that outlines our vision and our actions. You can see that on our website. And the partners and people we work with are city staff and mainly department heads, but a lot of city staff. City of Madison alders, actually my favorite group to work with. I love working with the alders. The mayor's office, the county executive's office, downtown neighborhood associations, UW-Madison and UW Chancellor's office, Madison College, Edgewood College, Madison and UW Police, Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce, Greater Madison Convention and Visitors Bureau, Madison Region Economic Partnership, and many other smaller chambers and membership groups, and many, many nonprofit service organizations, because we work so closely with them on the quality of life issues downtown, including the downtown churches. So why does downtown Madison and downtowns around the world matter? For the first time in history, there are now more people in the world living in cities than in rural areas, and many of them are clustering on the urban outskirts. There is an international movement of peoples unfolding before our eyes. This will be one of the most important trends in the 21st century. As a city, we need to take a closer look at urbanization before its mismanagement is further mistaken for the thing itself, and we need to recognize that a citified future is not a bad thing. In our own city, we have faced urbanization as a good thing. We have worked with a downtown being located on an isthmus with lakes on both sides. This has created challenges that our city has met and continues to work on. Urbanization brings many positives, places for people to gather and celebrate as a community, but it also brings challenges, homelessness, traffic, parking challenges, and many other things. This leads to what I want to share with you today. The state of downtown Madison is the theme of my presentation today. In 2010, we took a closer look at the changes and growth taking place in our central city, and we needed data to help us measure how we are doing. We brought a friend of mine from Washington, D.C. to town who was a mentor to me the first years after I came to DMI. His name was Rich Bradley. He oversees the Central Retail District for downtown D.C., and he has been in the downtown business his entire career. His group has been producing an annual State of Downtown DC for 10 years. He came to Madison and presented to us how they got started and how it has benefited them. So we took his advice and put together our first annual State of the Downtown in 2011, and have been producing one every year since. In fact, it is one of our annual events, presenting this document and distributing it to our members, policymakers, and anyone who is interested in the health of downtown Madison. This is not a marketing piece. It is about how we are doing, good, bad, or otherwise. And the key to an annual piece like this is to look for trends so that changes and sometimes policies can be made if needed, and also to be prepared for the future, what the future brings. This is what our 2015 piece looks like, and I've pulled parts of it to share with you today out of this. There's actually a lot more to it that you can see on our website. So slide 1, if we could go back to the first slide. There we go. I think I have a pointer here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I outlined our, there we go. I outlined our area. There's the stadium to the Yahara River. And I just want you to, because I'll be referring to these areas, you can see the university area on the left. I say university because there's so many university buildings in that area. Then what many people perceive or talk about as being the real central downtown area. And then see that kind of grayish blue part? Let me get right there. That is the footprint for, as I mentioned, the Business Improvement District. So that is State Street and the Square area. And then this is this amazing burgeoning Capitol East District, which is part of our footprint. But I'll be talking about that a little bit at the end of my presentation today, because there is an awful lot going on in that area. But I just wanted you to take a look at that so you have a sense of what I'll be talking about. So in the next slide, and this is this goes a little bit to what Scott was talking about, I think, and this club, which has actually helped DMI a lot. So thank you. 86% of downtown Madison population in 2015 was between the age of 15 and 34. Now this does include students, but if you take a look at this right here, our downtown is actually whiter than our cities. So, and we've seen the largest age group since the baby boomers move into this adulthood, and I think you've seen it in this chart. And this group, who we identify as millennials, are defining how we live our lives, which is determining what our cities look like and how they function. And in terms of race, ethnicity, however, the downtown has a lot of work to do compared to the city as a whole. It became very evident that DMI needed to do something about diversity internally and externally. And this is something that we take very seriously and are working on, and I'm part of the Rotary Committee, and I want to thank Rotary for part of the Equity Committee, and I want to thank Rotary for all of its work, and it's helping us too. So, and then next, slide 3, under the live. This, you can see we, in terms of, if you're wondering what all those cranes are doing up downtown, you can see that it has to do with this figure, and that is the rental vacancy rate. Right now, it is at 3.56. When in 2011, when we started doing this report, it was below 2%. So that's what drove a lot of this market. And then you can see the pie charts there. And in terms of owner occupied and rental, and it's being driven a lot by the people who are moving downtown, that group that I was just talking about. And then, you know what, I think I thought I forgot something to tell you. If I think of it, I'll share it. So, so anyway, what we like to see, that number that was at that 3.56, I think the people like to see it at around 5%. That's a little bit healthier. And so when you hear people say, well, when is it going to be enough? Well, who knows? The market will tell us, and it'll probably be closer to 5%. So next slide. And this is one of my favorites, because sometimes the importance of downtown churches is forgotten and their contributions to our central city. And we work with them on a regular basis, and they assist us with the homeless challenges. They participate on our committees and take a look at what they do. They house many of the during the day. They don't, and then one church at night. They house many of the homeless. They feed them, and they are really part of the fabric of our downtown. And I want to thank them. We can't forget that. And people forget about the churches sometimes, especially in downtowns. Okay, and then the next slide. Speaking of live, this shows you the percentage of children downtown going to downtown schools, and that would be Lapham, which is K-2, Marquette, which is 3 to 5, and Randall, which is 3 to 5. And here again, you can see it's the same reflection as you saw our population downtown. It's very white. So hopefully that changes over the years. And then the next one is something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the daycare centers. This 560 spots is all that are available in the downtown right now for daycares. And if you think about, we'll be talking about about commercial spaces and how the commercial market is growing in the downtown and all the people living downtown, and that is not enough. So that's telling us that we got to get going, and we work with, right now, with 2 of the main Daycares downtown, Creative Learning, and Red Caboose, and they are at capacity, and we need more. We need to work on this issue big time, because with this urbanization and people moving downtown, we would like them to stay, and they want to stay. So we need to give them the reasons that they can stay. And next, yeah, this one's pretty interesting. So take a look at, I don't even think I need my pointer for this, 44% of the people who work downtown work in public administration. Rest are accommodations with food services, and then professional, other, I know, law offices, et cetera. So, so the chart, it is just mainly the one on the left. It does speak loudly to the challenge that we have as a downtown and as a region. And this is some of what is being worked on. And to have 44% of our workforce in public administration will not support the housing, retail, services, and even our schools that we need in the long term. So downtown Madison needs a more clear economic development strategy to attract traded sector employers. And that would be, what I mean by that is industries that create goods and services sold outside the area, thus bringing new money in, not just circulating local money. So there are many more categories. If you look at our piece, there are many more categories, but they're very small that you could take a look at, but these were the three major ones. But there are some good things happening, investing in Starting Block, 100 State, and all the work that the Chamber of Commerce is doing should change these numbers in the future. We're looking for that anyway, to have that a little more equal. So between EPIC and UW-Madison, the traded sector for this region is high tech and biotech, and we have what these sectors need. We have an educated and trained workforce. So DMI and our partners are working together to help the city with aligning incentives, policies, programs to target the traded sector industries and companies who have a multiplier effect on other parts of the economy, like supporting talent attraction and providing incentives to help those kinds of companies, with the understanding that if they locate downtown, the retail, restaurants, housing, et cetera, will follow, because there's a new demand to support it. So the next slide, and this kind of coordinates with the call-out number on the residential, and this is the office space. And it says it fell to 10.8% because it was higher, and it was at a rate that you really don't like to see, lots of vacancies. So that is declining. And in the industry, people like to see it at around 7-8%. There are cities like you take Austin, Nashville, now these are larger cities, Austin, Nashville, San Francisco, San Jose, they are all around that's 7 to 8%. But then let's go to the next slide. And if you can see this at all, these are some of our peer cities that we look at. And that range is from 1.2 wait a minute, yeah, no, excuse me, 3.1 in Boulder to 25.6 in Memphis. So, I mean, cities are all over the place, but we would like to see it around that 7-8%, and it is declining. So the next slide. This is a slide I like, probably because of who I work for. 9.7% of the total taxes generated in the city of Madison come from the downtown, and that area is 1.2% of the total city area. So we are valuable. The downtown is valuable, and it's, of course, because of many, many people investing over the years, and we really appreciate that. But we've got the infrastructure, and we provide a lot of taxes to the city of Madison. And I think we're going to see that grow even more with what's happening in the Capital East District. So, and next, oh, this will be fun for you to see, because I was kind of assuming that you would ask this question if I didn't show it. And these are current. I just got these in the last week. This will be in our State of the Downtown for 2016. These are, this is what's residential units that have been built. See that on the left? 2,300 in this last year. And then in the capital, I divided it. And then Capital East District, 1,153. And then there's the commercial square footage that's been added to the central downtown and then to Capital East District. So that's why I wanted to show you that map originally too. And then there are the totals. So we are certainly continuing to grow and certainly getting more and more urbanized. So now, now we get to the shop, which everyone likes the shop area. And my fellow worker Tiffany knows a lot about this, running the Business Improvement District. And these numbers are interesting because sometimes people have different perceptions, but you can see there the percentage of food and drink and the Business Improvement District, which is the Capitol Square and the State Street area, has stayed at about 40% since 1998. So the bars are not taking over, okay? Now, what has changed in the trends that we have seen are the difference between retail, and when I say retail, I'm talking like soft goods, clothing, and shoes, et cetera. That has decreased, and it's been replaced by services. I mean, we've got Pilates studios and workout places and, just services because it's the users and uses have changed downtown, and we have a lot of people living downtown. So that has changed. So I do want to talk about this for just a second, though, because the mayor has called for a retail study, which is a good thing, because he thinks there are too many bars and restaurants on State Street, and we just want to make sure that we get the right information, that we talk about it, and we talk about it in terms of business mix. So what kind of a mix do we want downtown? What do people want? And so he has put some money forward to start a retail study, and it's going on right now. Some of you will maybe be called to be interviewed. I don't know, but you can certainly go on the city's website and take the survey. So we're really looking forward to that. But in the meantime, and up to this point, the city has done a good job with some of its increment from the tax incremental financing district that is in the downtown, and used that money for a facade improvement program, which has benefited many of the properties. And that is, it's a grant program, so it's a match program, and so people don't have to pay the city back. And then also they now have just a grant program for a retail grant program for internal upgrades, and that's starting to take off. So that's all good, because we need to keep investing in this area. This is a very special area, I think, to the entire city. I mean, how often do you go someplace and you say where you're from, and people say, oh yeah, I've been on State Street. I mean, State Street, it's our street. So we need to keep investing in it. So next, the visit. Yes, and we like to say play and visit. So this is one of our favorites, and along with our partners, the Greater Madison Convention and Visitor Bureau, we have worked hard to make the downtown a really good destination for visitors, and the numbers continue to increase. You can see 20% increase in visitor spending since 2011. That's a lot, and I'm guessing that when we get the final numbers for our 2016 report, it'll be even higher. So our challenge is to not only keep up with the demand for hotel rooms, but also for the food and entertainment venues that are sought after by our visitors, which of course our local community can then enjoy and benefit from. And you can see that we need to make sure our major, let's go to the next slide, our major destinations. I hope you can see this. Let me highlight some things. And if you can't, let me just explain some of these. it shows the visits to these different destinations. And you'll see over time, like Madison's Children's Museum, when that was improved, it went way up. Madison Central Library, unbelievable how that has changed. Union South, it's that has what's happened with that is unbelievable. And then I think this year we'll see reductions, probably some reductions in the Memorial Union, but then they will go way up as that gets finished. So we need to keep investing in and promoting our great destinations. So, and then our next is, oh yes, Move, which is happens to be my favorite subject, because it's probably the most important piece to a healthy and vital downtown. Because if we cannot move into, around, and out of the downtown, it'll limit our growth very quickly. And as the region grows and more people are looking to live, work, play in the downtown and shop, we're on an unsustainable track, so excuse the pun, but as you know, downtown is on an isthmus and parking is limited. The need for a transportation system is absolutely crucial. The ridership for Madison Metro is at its highest level, and now they are out of space for the vehicles, so they cannot even order anymore. Biking is up, taxi service is up, and the young professionals are looking for modes other than cars to move around. So we're already decades behind because we need to keep pushing this forward. And the city already has done a plan for a bus rapid transit system, which is kind of a sexier looking, kind of sleek looking bus, almost looks like a commuter train that has its own designated lane. And so it can go faster, and so it does not have to stop at all of the stops. So people really like them. It's so efficient. Many cities have been very successful with bus rapid transit, and so they haven't had to invest in tracks. And we need it. We're ready for it, and we just need a regional transit system real badly. We need something to sustain those operations. There are federal monies that we can apply for the cars and the stops, et cetera, but we need that funding mechanism for the operations. So city's working hard on this. We're working hard on this. It needs to come from the state so that we could have some enabling legislation to possibly charge a small sales tax, like a 1/4 cent or a 1/2 cent sales tax for the Dane County area, because this is something regional, because frankly, with all this urbanization, I mean, everybody's coming this way, so, and it's not going to be sustainable to have everyone come in their own car. So one person in every car. We can't build enough parking, and we don't want to build enough parking because we want to use all of this valuable land for other cool things. So then the next slide, which this shows what has happened. What's interesting here is, but you can see it by color, is these are cities that have regional transit systems, and they have that funding mechanism. So look at what happens. Look at who takes public transportation, the public. So it's kind of, you build it and they will come. So if we can do a good job with this and have other modes available to people other than just Madison Metro, and I don't mean that in any derogatory term, because Madison Metro does a fabulous job, but they're one mode. And so look at what happens when you get that funding mechanism in these other cities, and they've done fabulous work with that. And then it's fun to see the walk score. We do really well in the walk score. That's something that's kind of fun to look up. You just look up walk score and put in your city, and we have lots of people who walk in this downtown. So that's a really good thing. Hopefully there's something for them to look at and they enjoy the walk. So next slide. Then here are the modes. So you can see the different modes in the downtown that people use, and in the city of Madison. And so you can see there are a lot more people walk, which is a good thing. Public transportation is used more, and then of course bicycling, and then driving alone. It's still the major, but it's not as much as the rest of the city. So next slide. Yes, the Capital East District. Look at that. Look at that number, which has happened since 2013. There's been $77.8 million invested in the Capital East District. So, and here's what it's been invested in. You can take a look at that. And we're going to see more and more happening in Capital East District. I'm sure you've driven down there and seen those beautiful tall buildings. I love tall buildings that don't go above the Capitol. But there's more room. There's more room. The Madison Dairy was just raised, and they're doing another project there. And you're going to see more and more live, work, play in this particular area. So that is extremely exciting for downtown Madison and for our city as a whole. So yeah, and then one thing I forgot to tell you about is, and I think, could we go back in the slides? Maybe maybe I missed it. It's on the bike. That in case you didn't know, there is a recognition that's given by the League of American Bicyclists, and it is a recognition that a city gets for being a bronze, silver, gold, platinum, these different levels, and there's certain requirements you have to apply for that. And the city of Madison was awarded a platinum status just this year. So that was a really, really big thing because we're one of 5 in the country. So we did get some extra points for being in a winter state. So that's what we were told. We asked for it because it's like, well, look at these other cities, Davis, California, and places like that. So we did get some extra points. So we're looking to, and now the League of American Bicyclists has a different level called Diamond, and no one has it yet. So we'll see if we can get to that. We've still got to we've got to connect a lot of our trails to each other to get that system. But that's another mode of transportation that people are using more and more, and our mode share keeps increasing, which is good. We have the totem poles. Maybe you've seen them on the Southwest Bike Path, so we're able to monitor and see how we're doing with bike riding. So, and I know there's some bikers in this room. I'm looking at one right there, Joan. So in terms of conclusion here, and there's a lot more in our State of the Downtown. I just pulled out some of the major numbers and the major areas for DMI's focus. So downtown is not just the center of our city. It is the center of our region. And as our city and region become more urbanized, we have to make sure that the downtown remains healthy and strong, a place where people can live, work, shop, play, and gather. Over the last 15 plus years, DMI has worked closely with our 20 alders and with city staff. We have all learned together, and they are good policymakers, the alders are, understanding what Madison is facing with urbanization. And I would like to ask and kind of put out a call to all of you that those of you who live in the city of Madison, please call and get to know your alder. They're your neighbors. They care deeply about the city. They want to do good and be good, and they need to hear from their constituents. We have one here today with us. Is Mark Clear here? Mark Clear left. One of my favorite alders. He does know all this, but I'm serious. They need to hear from their constituents. They have a tough job. There's a lot to do, as you can see. And so call them up and get to know them. So they want to be good and do good, and they do need to hear from their constituents. So I want to thank you so much. I'm very, very proud to be a Rotarian of the Rotary Club of Madison, located in downtown Madison. So, and if you'd like more details on DMI State of the Downtown, just go to our website and you can find it. And then we're currently putting together our 2016 State of the Downtown, which will be public early this fall. And, oh dear. If there are any questions, I'll stay right here. I'm sorry. Whoops. I should know better. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Susan. This meeting is adjourned.